Now at 5 and streaming on crossroadstoday.com, thousands of Victoria County voters turn out for early voting. Plus, officials say viral claims of votes being flipped in one Texas county are overblown, but are being addressed. And home prices in Victoria are rising. Find out how it compares to the rest of the state.
I guess we can say hello to more summer-like temperatures. We'll be in the 90s, around 90 degrees the next few days. You see any clouds heading our direction? We'll try and find some for you. Coming up in just a few minutes, so stay tuned.
Plus, new details in the search for a mom of 4 missing for more than 2 weeks now. You're watching 25 News Now at 5. Good afternoon and thanks for being with us. I'm Shawna Curry. The District 30 state representative candidates are answering questions tonight. That political forum gets underway in just about 30 minutes. 25 News Now reporter, weekend anchor, Amaya Norman is at the UHV Walker Auditorium with a preview. Amaya.
2, 1, go.
Thank you, Shawna. We are right now here at UHV Walker Auditorium where Stephanie Bassham and AJ Louderback will be debating for U.S. House District 30. Bassham says she wants to leave behind a legacy of progress District 30 can celebrate. She also wants to fight for fair wages. Bassham is a breast cancer survivor and wants to improve healthcare access inclusively, and making sure everyone has a voice is also important to Bassham. Republican A.J. Louderback is a former sheriff of Jackson County. His focus is on border issues and public safety. District 30 encompasses DeWitt, Goliad, Jackson, Lavaca, Matagorda, and Victoria counties. It includes the cities of Victoria, Cuero, Edna, and Bay cities. Representative Jenny W. Morrison has served District 30 since 1999. Reporting live, I am Amaya Norman. Back to you, Shawna.
All right, thanks a lot, Amaya. Well, 10% of Victoria County voters have cast a ballot in the first 2 days of early voting. After a record day one, another 2,091 voters cast a ballot in person Tuesday, bringing the 2-day total to 4,181. Another 1,634 ballots were cast by mail. Early voting continues through November 1st. Election officials in North Texas are looking into claims that some ballots didn't reflect voters' choices for president. Tarrant County election administrators responded to a viral video where 2 men said that the voting machines misrecorded their votes. Officials say that's not what happened. With over 115,000 ballots processed in the first 2 days of early voting in Tarrant County, only one unverified issue has been reported. In that case, the voter noticed that their printed ballot did not match their intended choice, possibly due to a mistake. Officials remind voters to double check their ballots, and if there is an error, you can request a new one. A 5-time convicted felon is running for a seat on the Robstown ISD school board. Texas law does not prevent felons from holding elected office if they have completed their sentences. The situation has sparked debate among voters as the school board election approaches. So this brings us to our viewer poll today. Should all candidates seeking public office have to pass a criminal background check? Yes or no? Interestingly, 98% of our voters feel that a background check or criminal background check should be included as part of the election process. But we want to hear your thoughts. Come to crossroadstoday.com/vote or scan the QR code there on your screen, and we'll have the latest results on 25 News Now at 6. The Victoria County Animal Shelter is well over capacity, leading to an urgent plea for adoptions. Victoria County Animal Services is caring for an average of 110 dogs per day with only 30 kennel spaces. In an effort to avoid euthanizing healthy dogs, the shelter is staying open late tonight until 7 p.m. to allow more time for adoptions and fostering arrangements. If you can help, you can contact the shelter at 361-578-3564, or you can email the director at Animal Services. Well, home prices in Victoria are rising faster than most other Texas cities. Texas Realtors reports the median home price in Victoria is now $267,000. That's up 2.7% from last year. Active listings are up 4.7% and closed sales are up 6.7%. That's one of the biggest rises of any Texas metro area. Houses in Texas stayed on the market an average of 7 days longer in the third quarter of 2024 than during the same quarter last year. The Victoria Central Appraisal District Board of Directors is accepting applications for its appraisal review board. The board was created to provide an independent judicial review of taxpayer protests of valuations set by the Victoria Central Appraisal District. Board members sit in panels to hear testimony and review evidence in order to determine property owner protests. Only 2 people have applied so far, and the deadline was extended twice due to a lack of response. To learn more about applying, you can call 361-576-3621. Refugio County is now under a burn ban. The Refugio County Commissioners Court voted unanimously in favor of a 45-day countywide burn ban effective immediately. However, the Refugio High School bonfire scheduled for tonight will be allowed to continue. The burn ban will last until December 5th unless canceled by the Commissioners Court before then. And looks like we don't have any rain, at least in the next couple of days in the forecast. Here is First Warn Storm Team Chief Meteorologist Mac Perez with a first look outside. Mac.
Thank you very much. It looks very quiet in terms of rainfall for us. So if you're ready for a lot of sunshine and summer-like temperatures, that's what we've got in the long term. In fact, we're kind of between seasons. The tropics are getting a little quieter and the northwest storms are just beginning to organize. So between here and there, we're on the quiet sunny side. So there is some glimmer of hope on the horizon. We'll talk about that coming up a little bit later on. Back to you, Shawna.
All right, thanks, Mac. We turn now to a major development in the case of a missing mother near San Antonio. Suzanne Simpson has been missing for more than 2 weeks, with her husband facing charges. Rhiannon Alley has the details.
It's been more than 2 weeks since Texas mother of 4 Suzanne Simpson was reported missing, and now police have arrested her husband Brad's former business associate. James Cotter is accused of helping Brad hide a weapon, possibly tied to Suzanne's disappearance. A neighbor reportedly witnessed an altercation between Suzanne and Brad before Suzanne went missing. Brad is currently behind bars for that incident, charged with assault and unlawful restraint.
This is all strategy on a homicide investigation, or what they believe to be a homicide investigation. And so they're using that to keep him in jail for 30 days. Police
say Brad Simpson has not been cooperative. Investigators expanded their search for Suzanne to this landfill last week, but reported no sign of her. Rhiannon Alley, ABC News, New York.
Now, James Cotter is facing felony charges, including tampering with evidence. As for Brad Simpson, the husband, his lawyer calls the charges against him ludicrous. Well, be cautious before making breakfast. Treehouse Foods has expanded its recall on frozen toaster waffles, Belgian waffles, and pancake products due to a potential listeria threat. The recalled products were sold nationwide and in Canada under several brand names. The FDA says no related illnesses have been confirmed. Listeria infections can be fatal for children and the elderly, as well as people with weak immune systems. For others, the symptoms include fever and nausea. A deadly E. coli outbreak being linked to McDonald's popular Quarter Pounder burger. The company now pulling it from the menu in certain states. However, Texas is not included, with the CDC saying that 1 person died in Colorado. Rena Roy has more on the ingredient that could be behind the outbreak.
The hottest, juiciest Quarter Pounder yet. It's perfect.
McDonald's Quarter Pounder has been an American staple for decades, and now it's linked to a deadly E. coli outbreak across 10 states. Federal officials say 49 people have gotten sick so far, 10 hospitalized, including a child. McDonald's saying the cause appears to be the slivered onions, which the company says are not used on their other burgers. But the beef is also being investigated as a possible cause. McDonald's saying they're working with the CDC, FDA, and other health officials.
We've taken steps to proactively remove slivered onions, which are used in Quarter Pounders, from restaurants in select states. We also made the decision to temporarily remove the Quarter Pounder from restaurants in select states.
McDonald's says it uses multiple suppliers for the onions in the area where the outbreak happened, and that during the 2 weeks when the cases were reported, they sold about 1 million Quarter Pounders, making tracing the cause difficult. The first case was identified late last month in Colorado. The last known person to get sick ate a quarter pounder nearly 2 weeks ago. The CDC urging those who feel ill after eating McDonald's to see a doctor. E. coli symptoms include nausea, fever, stomach cramps, diarrhea, and vomiting.
The symptoms after exposure typically start 3 to 4 days after you've eaten the food that is contaminated, and it can be variable from person to person.
McDonald's says its other beef products, including the cheeseburger and Big Mac, are not affected. Meanwhile, the company says it's now working to replenish supply for the quarter pounder in the coming weeks. Rena Roy, ABC News, New York.
Well, Big Tex is headed back to storage until next year's State Fair of Texas. The 55-foot-tall cowboy said howdy, folks, to nearly 2.4 million people during the fair's 24-day run this year. The beloved icon was slowly removed from Big Tex Circle and taken down this morning. The official State Fair greeter will be put into storage until next year. Here are some of the top headlines that you can read in the Cuero Record. The outgoing Chisholm Trail Museum director is being praised for her community service. And the city of Cuero approves the extension of an agreement for weatherization assistance. You can read these stories and more at DeWittCountyToday.com. And remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel, CrossroadsToday.com. Hit the like button and click the notification bell. Stay with us. Straight ahead on 25 News now at 5, the latest on Iranian government-linked hackers probing U.S. election-related websites. Also ahead, strokes are becoming more common in younger adults, why many younger patients aren't getting treatment.
Join 25 News Now, the Victoria Advocate, and the Victoria Chamber of Commerce for a political forum with the candidates for State Representative District 30. Wednesday, October 23rd, 5:30 p.m., UHV Walker Auditorium. Hear from Democrat Stephanie Bassam and Republican A.J. Louderback as they vie for your vote.
Welcome back. Voters will decide the outcomes of 5 competitive Texas State Board of Education races this November, with some challengers hoping to shake up the curriculum-setting body they say has shifted too far into party politics. To read the full Texas Tribune article, you can go to our website, CrossroadsToday.com. Iranian hackers have probed election websites in multiple swing states. Today, Microsoft released a report saying hackers linked to Iran's government are possibly looking for vulnerabilities that could be used to influence the U.S. presidential election. The activity took place in April, but was just recently discovered by Microsoft analysts. They said they expect the Iranian hacking group to increase its activity as the election nears, given the group's history of election interference. Sources familiar with the investigation said there's no evidence that the activity has escalated to attempted hacks of those websites, but it does not threaten the integrity of voting. However, U.S. officials worry that the hackers' actions could raise concerns in the minds of voters. In health news, most strokes happen to people 65 and older, but in the U.S., strokes are becoming more common in younger adults. Getting medical help quickly does improve chances of survival, but experts say many may ignore or even not recognize symptoms. In today's Health Minute, Mandy Gaither has stroke warning signs that every adult should know, regardless of age.
The exact cause is still unknown, but around the world, more strokes are striking younger adults ages 18 to 49. Rate of stroke deaths among middle-aged U.S. adults hit a nearly 2-decade high during the COVID pandemic, according to the CDC.
It certainly is concerning.
Dr. Abbas Karal led research at Cleveland Clinic to figure out why younger patients he was seeing were having something called large vessel occlusion, which can cause an ischemic stroke, meaning a major artery in the brain is blocked.
The strokes that happen as a result of large vessel occlusion really happen because of plaque buildup, what we call atherosclerosis. And our study actually showed that those with strokes from large artery atherosclerosis or plaque buildup actually did worse after treatment.
Karal says that buildup can come from risk factors like high blood pressure, high cholesterol, diabetes, smoking, a sedentary lifestyle, and unhealthy dietary habits.
That's why it's very important to make sure that even younger adults are seeing their primary care doctors, getting checked for those stroke risk factors, and if they have them, to make sure they're as controlled as possible.
Karal says all adults should also know stroke warning signs like eye or gaze deviation, one-sided weakness, arm or leg weakness, facial droop, and slurred speech. If these symptoms are present, get emergency help.
No age group is immune to stroke.
For Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
The researchers say of those younger adult patients studied, nearly half didn't receive any treatment despite having a severe stroke. The doctor says many didn't get help in time to have been candidates for either clot bursting medication or a clot removal via surgery. He says further research is needed to determine these barriers to treatment.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. Lots of sunshine. Again, temperatures getting up to near 90 degrees. It's 89 right about now. Let's see what our high temperature was. Yep, 90 on the nose, as you see right about there. We're supposed to be down to the low 80s, but that's not happening for quite some time. In fact, we've got about 7 to 10 days of the same stuff, which puts us in a high fire danger, believe it or not. We'll talk more about that, and we'll take a look at the tropics just in case. Coming up in a moment. Stay tuned. Well, good afternoon, everyone. Yes, it certainly feels like summertime out there with temperatures hovering near 90 degrees for quite some time. As a matter of fact, probably through the weekend, through early next week before anything starts to move in our direction. At this time of the year, we're sort of between seasons, right? The tropics are beginning to wind down. The northwest is beginning to wind up, but we're kind of in the middle there as we're waiting for something to move. Few high clouds drifted over the area. We did have some fog this morning for about 4 hours. Didn't look like it was too deep, but we look at the big picture to see if anything's coming in our direction. And this time of year, we have to look that way. All right. Out here in the northwest is where the big Pacific storms come in. These are the big wet storms that produce snow in the Rockies. They break out into the plains, and when all the Gulf air rushes in to meet it, we get a little bit of rain. I'm looking for hope here, and the thing is that it's probably 14 days out. So we're into November before the next front comes in and actually gives us something. As we talked about yesterday, the Forest Service has put us on a level 3 alert for a high fire danger. In other words, everybody needs to be prepared in case something happens, because sometimes it's man driving around, sometimes it's a piece of glass, piece of wire, a hot piece of metal. A fire can start pretty much anywhere, and so we have to be a little bit higher level. Why? Because we've had no rain for 30 days. Everybody's been warmer than normal for the last month and a half, and then nothing coming in sight for rain. So let's just say that everybody across the state needs to get ready. Now let's take a look at this. This is our winds, which are going to be coming directly out of the southeast, and that of course is a warm air mass coming in with a little bit of moisture. But high pressure, you can see right there, is on top of us. So the moisture just sort of staying down along the bottom. That's why we had the fog this morning. We take a look at the big picture, and I am looking at that. What is that? That is a big, powerful, well, it's kind of like this. Remember the hurricanes, how they go around and around? Well, this goes round and round too, but it's not a hurricane. It's an area of low pressure, which is like a hurricane, but it is going to be a powerful storm slamming into the northwest coast. Then it crosses the Rockies, and I'm talking in about 2 weeks, it may actually come to visit, if not that one, something similar to that. So this is the time of year that I start pushing up that map. Temperatures again tomorrow, about 89 degrees, pretty much the entire state, 90 degrees all the way out into West Texas and the Panhandle as well. We have some interesting stuff in the Atlantic, though. We have a hurricane, a 155-mile-an-hour hurricane, Christy, but guess what? It's moving away from land. It's going to go out into the Pacific, and then it's going to fall apart right about here. Sometimes when the storms fall apart, like you see right here, the upper level moisture drifts over and gives us a shot at rain. But boy, I tell you, we're really reaching here. And then we look at the Caribbean. And I don't want to scare anybody, but this has a potential of developing another storm, and then it would go north. So possibly the East Coast again in November. That's pretty weird. Looking sunny skies, 85 tomorrow in Port Lavaca. We're looking at about a 90 in the Cuero area. Lots of sunshine right on through the weekend. In fact, I think if you're going to get a Halloween costume, get one that's light and not furry, because otherwise it'd be too warm. That's your 7-day forecast, reminding everybody we have a QR code. Love for you to scan that. Put Crossroads Today on your phone. Shawna, back to you.
All right, thanks, Mac. Well, here are some of the top headlines that you can read in the Port Lavaca Wave. The Port Lavaca Police Department is recognized by the Texas Municipal League, and hard work pays off for youth at the Calhoun County Fair auction. You can read these stories and more at portlavacawave.com. Well, coming up next on 25 News Now at 5, a look at your stocks, plus a name change coming to the popular Goldfish crackers to appeal to an older audience. The Dow tumbles 400 points, having the worst day since early September. The S&P 500 is down 54 points today, and the Nasdaq is down 296 points. Oil is down 69 cents to close at $71.05 per barrel. The IRS has announced changes for 2025 to adjust for inflation. They've raised the income thresholds for federal tax brackets, which will apply to the 2025 tax year. The top rate of 37% will now apply to individuals earning over $626,350 and married couples making more than $751,600. The standard deduction is also going up to $30,000, that is, for married couples filing jointly, and $15,000 for single taxpayers. An iconic cheddar cracker that's popular with kids is getting a fancier name to attract adults. For a limited time, Goldfish crackers will be called Chilean sea bass. Pepperidge Farms hopes the more sophisticated name will help expand its audience as sales of snack foods continue to drop after peaking during the pandemic. Goldfish crackers in the traditional package will still be available at retailers nationwide. The federal government has fined American Airlines $50 million after a multi-agency investigation found repeated violations of rules protecting wheelchair-using passengers. The Department of Transportation found serious violations between 2019 and 2023 with mishandling and damaging thousands of wheelchairs. American says it spent $175 million this year on improvements and takes these issues seriously. The DOT is also investigating similar violations at other U.S. airlines. It's a small world after all, but it will take a bigger wallet to see it in person. Walt Disney World ticket prices for next year's holiday season will hit all-time highs. Magic Kingdom tickets for November and December 2025 are set to top out at $199 on some dates. That's a $10 hike from the most expensive tickets this year. Park prices for the other 10 months of 2025 are holding steady. The cost for one-day, one-park passes for guests over the age of 9 at all 4 of Disney's parks range from $119 to $199 each. Well, stay with us. When we come back, we'll take a look at a telescope with the world's largest digital camera, how it could be a game changer for astronomy. And here's a look at what's coming up next on World News Tonight.
13 days to go, and more Americans turn to David Muir and World News Tonight than any other newscast. The race, a dead heat. With so much at stake, turn to David Muir on election night and ABC's World News Tonight with David Muir, the #1 newscast in America.
The world's largest digital camera will let us see the night sky like never before. Take a look. The 3,200 megapixel camera being installed at Chile's Vera Rubin Observatory. Once operational, it will capture ultra detailed images of the entire visible sky over the next decade. Astronomers are excited, and they expect over the years to discover billions of stars, galaxies, and celestial objects. The telescope is now in the final stages of construction and is expected to be turned on next year.
So it's in the country of Chile.
Yes.
Not at Chili's.
No, not at Chili's.
I saw chili and I'm going, what? At Chili's?
Be interesting to see, you know, some of the images.
But you know, they have to be at the top of the mountains there to get as clear as they can. But that's an incredible. I mean, we're now discovering things that we didn't know we didn't know.
Right.
I mean, we're what? It's older than that. So interesting developments. All right, folks, we are not looking for a lot of change. We're going to stay on this sunny and rather warm kind of situation. Here we are, end of October, headed toward Halloween, and we're looking at 90-degree temperatures all the way through this coming weekend. But I guess it's good for watching football, you know.
Yeah, or if you have a telescope, you could got some clear skies too.
You could see yesterday with the telescope.
Yeah. All right, well, thanks for joining us. Be sure to join us back here at 6.